Hey, this is the Magic Man, and you watching my homeboy, Jalen and Jacoby.
He is Jalen Anthony Rose.
What up, Del?
I'm David Jacoby.
And on the cool check-in,
Together with Jalen Jacoby, what is it that we do?
we give the people what they want.
ESPN and Jason Ayer and Michael Jordan gave the people what they wanted last night with episodes 5 and 6 of The Last Dance. So, as we will every single Monday, it's time for Jalen and Jacoby's Last Dance recap. Jalen, we'll start this recap where they started episode 5, and that is with Kobe Bryant going against Michael Jordan in what was Kobe's first All-Star game in Madison Square Garden. What did watching that behind-the-scenes footage, listen to Michael Jordan discuss Kobe Bryant's game, and then later hear Kobe talk about what a mentor Jordan was, what did that bring up for you?
Well, first and foremost, how we lost the late, great Kobe Bryant so very young, and there was so much more that he was going to give society and the game of basketball and to his family that it's just really tragic that he and all of the people that perished in that accident aren't going to be with us anymore, including his daughter who just her 14th birthday just passed. So that, Jacoby, that was the thing that came to mind, and also how they knew Kobe was next, and he knew it as well. For a guy really that was barely starting on the Lakers to make the All-Star game and to say you wanted to be the next MJ, you become the remix of him, the next best version. He becomes your mentor, and you go in that a mano in the All-Star game. Like this is a legendary NBA situation, and I'm glad it got exposed.
And it was sort of haunting to hear Kobe Bryant in that interview, but it was also really nice to hear him talk about the relationship, the big brother relationship he had with Michael Jordan. Because during this documentary, we've seen Michael Jordan he doesn't like that he gets compared to Clyde Drexler, and he thinks that he's the greatest in the world. He's so competitive, but it seems like later on in his life, he sort of accepted his space as a mentor, as an OG to the young Kobe Bryant, whose game certainly mirrored his own. Now, something else that was brought up during this set of documentary episodes was Michael Jordan's taste for games, taste for gambling. And obviously there was a trip to Atlantic City during a Knicks series that was brought into question and brought all this to light. What do you think about the way Michael Jordan spoke about what some consider to be a gambling problem?
Well, a couple of things. This is classic, do as I say, not as I do. And so many people are watching the documentary and you want to sacrifice and overcome adversity and be a champion and in the GOAT conversation like Mike. But another thing you shouldn't want to do is gamble as much as he does on everything, whether it's at cards, whether it's at golf, whether it's at pitching quarters with security guards. He's the functioning addict. It just so happened that he's worth almost $2 billion. So that big bank usually takes little bank. That's one of the things I want to make sure that I acknowledge for all of the people that's going to see this doc.
Well, so see, when me and you go to Atlantic City, as you see here, I end up losing too much money and having to apologize to my wife. Now, Michael Jordan was just so stable financially that he would never get himself into that situation, but he certainly did enjoy gambling, which brought us one of the best characters of this entire set of episodes in this documentary, and that is his security guard, a gentleman by the name of John Wozniak, who unfortunately passed away in January. But he hit Jordan with the shrug after playing the quarter against the wall game and taking his money. God, this guy is he's just, you know what? I understand why Michael wanted him around. He might not be the best security guard in the world, but he just seems like a great hang. Seems like that guy loves life. He's the true star of this documentary.
Absolutely. Also, in Rest in Peace, it shows him living his best life, and it's a great tribute to somebody that got a chance to spend a lot of time around MJ and a person that he was really gracious with, and vice versa.
And we see so many of these sort of legacy moments from Michael Jordan throughout this documentary, and there are obviously some still to come. But one thing that is the legacy of Michael Jordan, maybe even as much or maybe even beyond what he did on the court, is his basketball sneakers and those Nikes and Air Jordan and the Jordan brand. And we heard about the origin story of that. He wanted to sign with Adidas. He was going to sign at Converse, but they had too many people. Nike was like a track brand. He didn't even want to go talk to Nike, but his mom made him. Just imagine Jalen Rose if he never signed with Nike. Like, would I be wearing Jordan Adidas right now?
You would be. And for a sneakerhead that was born in the early 70s, it was Adidas' turn, especially with Run DMC, Forms, Snakeskins, Top Tens. It was their turn. And then all of a sudden, a guy named Michael Air Jordan came into the mix, and then it just catapulted Nike to a whole different level. And so what he was able to do with Nike and still sell more sneakers than any athlete in the history will ever do, it's been an amazing accomplishment for a guy who didn't want to go take the meeting. But mama knows best. She's like, you're going to take that meeting. That's what you're going to take that meeting. And look what happened years later. He became the logo, Jumpman.
Well, another thing the documentary addressed last night was his infamous quote, "Republicans buy sneakers too." Now, he's been criticized over the course of his career for not being as politically active as others would like him to do. And he explained that in the documentary last night in the interview. And if you notice, he also kind of threw Horace Grant under the bus a little bit, because he said that in jest to Scottie Pippen and Horace Grant. And Horace Grant is one of the people that a lot of people gave information for the Jordan Rules book. Jalen, what do you think about the way he addressed the criticisms of him and not being politically active?
Well, first and foremost, I saw Horace Grant and Michael Jordan play a lot of basketball together. Not much after they won 3 championships. MJ seemed to get him up out of there quick. And another thing that it made me think of is how a guy like MJ, when you have so much power, everybody want you to influence their situation. And I've been really fortunate to be philanthropic and try to be socially and politically active, but that's not for everyone. And so if you're not passionate about it or knowledgeable about it, I would encourage you to focus on what your craft is. And that's exactly what he did. Even though he lost a lot of points in the neighborhood, if you remember, it took Spike Lee to give him a cool factor, Nike to give him a cool factor. Chuck D was making rhymes like, I like Nike, but wait a minute. So that was happening until he got with that brand.
That's a really good point, Jalen. Well, every Monday we'll be breaking down The Last Dance. Make sure you listen to The Last Dance after show on our podcast feed. But right now it is time for News That Matters. Jalen, during the quarantine, it sprouted some new content. And one of the new content forms that has sprouted has been the Instagram live battle between artists or producers or just musicians. And 50 Cent had been jokingly challenged by Ja Rule. Now, obviously, that's not a fair fight. But 50 Cent said that he and Snoop Dogg should go track for track on Instagram Live. This, to me, sounds like something that I want to see, not just because of the music, because these are two of the best personalities in entertainment. Just in between the songs, the banter would be so good. I think this might be, outside of Dre and Diddy, the number one marquee matchup I want to see. What do you think?
Moguls, legends, hits, bars. Success is longevity. I thought you was going to talk about DJ's Khaled and his IG. Did you see what happened on his? Did you see what happened on his?
Saw that. And he had to apologize.
Yeah,
very
let's show
quickly.
his.
He's like, we gotta go.
Run
we gotta
his.
go before we get
Run
canceled.
DJ Khaled's IG.
No, we can't run that.
No.
Do not run that. Do not
we
run
can
that.
talk about 50
We
and Snoop later. Run
because
Khaled's
Andy Dalton
IG. Run
is
it.
a cowboy.
Got to give the people time. Give the people what they want.
Welcome back to Jalen Jacoby. Jalen, we had some pretty interesting NFL news break over the weekend. We now know where Andy Dalton will play football next season. Jerry Jones brought on Andy Dalton, we assume, to back up Dak Prescott, who has not signed a long-term deal with the star quite yet. What do you think the implications of Dalton signing with the Cowboys are on Dak signing with the Cowboys?
Making your quarterback room stronger is always great for your football team. Backup quarterback can become one of the most important positions on a football squad. That's why it's imperative to have one. That's why you see the Packers doing what they got to do to draft Love. That's why you see Philadelphia drafting Jalen Hurts teams are going to make moves. The Saints added Jameis Winston. I'm still trying to figure out how he got $1 million, but yet Andy Dalton got $7 million. But hey, it's the salary cap. Dak shouldn't sweat it. This dude ain't competition. Now they do have weapons. He's a competent starting quarterback. He's not on Dak's level. So he's going to look good in Dallas with that great running back in Ezekiel Elliott and that terrific offensive line. But let's not act like Dak should be threatened. Now, if you go sign Cam Newton or something like that, then that's sending a message. To me, this just says they want to have a great quarterback room and have a solid backup in case something happened to Dak once he gets signed.
Yeah, I think the quarterback position is just so important that you want to have the gap in quality between your starter and your backup to be as small as possible, but you also don't want to pay both of them. And I thought this is a really good option for the Cowboys. And even if just a little bit, it will entice Dak a little bit to get a deal done as they're heading into the season. A little bit, Jalen. At least they can now say we can go into the season with Andy Dalton.
He got another 10, 12 years to play. He ain't worried about that.
Well, you mentioned Cam Newton, who still doesn't have a football team. So I went ahead and just listed the best fits for Cam Newton. I want you to take a look at this list. We got the Patriots. I would love to see that. That might be just a little bit of me wishing for it to happen. The Bears. I don't think Trubisky's going to be the long-term answer there. Washington, Jaguars, and Broncos. Which team could you see Cam Newton playing for this season?
Well, he's a great player when healthy and a former MVP. I could see him playing in any system, to be frank with you. It would only depend on where he signs is how we're going to spin the narrative before he plays. If he signed with the Patriots, people will be like, that's a genius move. If he signs with Jacksonville, it's like it's all on him. He got something to prove. And if it fails, then it's going to be his fault. So I could see him anywhere. And people who don't sign Cam this offseason that need quarterbacks are going to regret it.
Well, I mean, every one of those teams has a quarterback that I think that the team itself knows they're going to have to replace at some point in the near future. So it just seems like signing Newton, whose number gets smaller and smaller and smaller. The longer, it's like a house. The longer you're on the market, the smaller the number gets. And I just feel like any one of those teams would be so lucky to have a press conference, to have Cam Newton come in and just say the right things and hold up the uniform. I feel like that would invigorate the fan base and would put a lot of positivity going into what has been, frankly, a very negative spring in professional sports. And Jalen, we got some footage of something over the weekend. It's going to absolutely blow your mind and terrify me at the same time. I'll show you what that is right after this.
You got to give the people time. Give the people what they want.
Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby. Jalen Rose, I did a lot of soul searching this weekend. I made a huge mistake on Friday. And it all started when on the show, we played this clip of a gentleman by the name of Iron Mike Tyson.
But also, Tip and Mike. Mike and Tip.
I like that. Because I see Jalen Rose has his little guy with him, Jalen and Jacob.
Right.
Jacoby and Jalen.
So I'll be the little guy.
Tip and Mike. Tip and Tyson.
Tip and Tyson. You dig what I'm saying? I like that.
Jalen has his little guy. Jalen has his little guy is what Iron Mike Tyson said about me. That's how he sees me, as Jalen's little guy. And I even went so far last week to get upset. And I might have said some things about Mike Tyson that I really regret, because he said he was going to come back in the ring. And you know what? I might have even said that perhaps maybe I could be an opponent of his if I'm such a little guy. Well, Jalen, he dropped some training footage of himself getting ready to come back in the ring. And let's just take a look at that.
Stop! Beat! Boom! KO. Stop! Beat! Boom! KO.
Jalen, how terrifying is that? That man's 53 years old. You see the way he was hitting that?
Those my dogs, too. Shout to Mike Tyson and Tip. We're going to get both of them on the show. I was just watching T.I. He has multiple podcasts doing this thing. But he saw you, Jacoby. You know he pay attention to the show. You clearly see he know about the show. He saw you. You like, I'm this height. I weigh this much. You had the nerve to say that into a microphone, and he dropped his footage. So what do you think about that? That was for you.
I could go into the ring with that body armor, a full-on helmet, like a full football helmet, the hand pads, and I would still get knocked out in the first 30 seconds. I would not be able to take one punch to the stomach the way that trainer did with those pads. He punches with so much power. So scared of Mike Tyson.
Dog, he'll puncture your lungs. He'll shatter your ribs. He'll break your face each time he hits you. It'll be like 3 or 4 hits.
Maybe he'll break my nose back straight, though. Maybe he could break it back straight.
And you got his picture hanging up right over your shoulder.
I do. Where you at, Mike? We'll be back tomorrow.
Got to give the people